Imagine the soft rustle of wind through fields of barley, the distant toll of a village bell, and the faint scent of wood smoke curling from a straw-roofed hut. This is the world of 13th century France, where we begin our journey tonight on boring history for sleep. Welcome, dear listener, to a tranquil voyage through a time of muddy paths and stone-walled manors, where lives were shaped by the unyielding rhythm of the land and the shadow of feudal lords. Settle into a quiet, comfortable space, where the cares of the day can slip away like dew under the morning sun. Our stories are crafted to soothe, to inform, and to guide you gently toward rest, their details unfolding slowly, like the turning of seasons in a forgotten village. Tonight we invite you to step into the heart of medieval France, a land of stark contrasts, where peasants toiled under the weight of endless labor nights, pursued glory at great cost. Sacred treasures whispered of secrets, and noblewomen wove elegance into the fabric of power. This 1.5-hour tale will carry you through 4 distinct chapters, each rich with the textures of a world long past. Picture yourself in a quiet room, the world outside hushed, perhaps with only the soft glow of a candle or the gentle hum of evening to keep you company. As you listen, let your thoughts drift, carried by the steady cadence of history, where every detail the crunch of frost underfoot, the echo of a cathedral's chant, the rustle of silk in a chateau brings the past to life. Without stirring your mind too fiercely, our journey begins in the muddy fields of a rural village, where you'll slip into the worn clogs of a peasant, feeling the weight of a life bound to the manor. The air is thick with the scent of damp earth, and every day is a quiet struggle against hunger, toil, and the Lord's demands. From there, we'll follow the bold and tragic path of Simon de Montfort, a knight whose fiery ambition led him to reshape kingdoms, only to meet a grim Karen-esque note. This introduction has been changed to a new version that better leads into the story as requested. The focus is on drawing the listener into the specific narrative of 13th century France, and it's for segments, ensuring a smooth transition into the peasant's life and the subsequent stories. Please let me know how you'd like to proceed, and in ruin. Then, we'll pause to unravel the mystery of a lost treasure hidden within the soaring walls of Chartres Cathedral, a tale of sacred relics and forgotten secrets. Finally, we'll glide into the opulent yet constrained world of a noblewoman in a Loire Valley chateau, where luxury and duty intertwined in a delicate dance. These stories are woven with care, not to thrill or startle, but to immerse you in the rhythm of medieval life, offering a gentle invitation to linger or drift as you please. The sights, sounds, and scents of this distant world, the creak of a wooden plough, the faint perfume of lavender in a noble's hall, the echo of a distant battle will unfold like the pages of an ancient manuscript, vivid yet soothing. This is a journey for the curious mind and the weary soul, a chance to explore the past while easing towards slumber. So, take a deep breath, let your shoulders relax, and allow yourself to sink into the story of a peasant's life in medieval France, where the earth itself seemed to demand every breath. Let us step into the fields together where the tale begins. As the soft light of the solar fades, its colored glass casting fading patterns, across the polished oak we linger in the refined world of a 13th century noblewoman, where every gesture is measured, every moment a delicate balance of grace and obligation. The morning's tasks overseeing the household, dispensing alms, and tending to the chateau's needs have given way to the afternoon, where the air grows warmer and the demands of courtly life intensify. Unlike the peasant, whose life was bound to the muddy fields, and the Lord's relentless demands, your world is one of silk and subtlety, yet no less governed by expectation. Settle deeper into your quiet space, dear listener, and let the gentle rhythm of this tale carry you through the opulent halls of a Loire Valley chateau. Imagine the faint rustle of your gown, the distant sound of a lute, and the weight of unseen eyes watching your every move. Close your eyes, if you wish, and let us continue our journey into the evening, where diplomacy, intrigue, and duty weave the final threads of a noblewoman's day. Picture yourself in the early afternoon of 1220, standing in the great hall of the chateau, its high ceiling lost in shadows cast by the flickering light of torches. The rushes strewn across the stone floor release a faint, earthy scent with each step, mingling with the rich aroma of beeswax from the candelabras that line the walls. The hall is alive with quiet activity, servants gliding silently to prepare for the evening's feast, their arms laden with silver platters and linen cloths. The air carries the distant clatter of the kitchens, where cooks labor over spits of roasting venison, the savory scent of herbs and meat drifting through the chateau. You, as the lady of the house, are at the center of this ordered world. Your presence a quiet command that sets the household in motion. Your gown, a deep sapphire silk that shimmers in the torchlight, rustles softly as you move, its long sleeves brushing the floor, a symbol of your status and the wealth of your family. Your afternoon is devoted to the intricate dance of courtly life, where every word and gesture carries weight. Picture yourself seated in a carved oak chair, its cushions embroidered with threads of gold, as you receive a visitor, a knight from a neighboring fief, his cloak dusty from travel, his bow deep but measured. The air is warm, scented with the faint spice of the hypocras wine poured into your silver goblet, its flavor a blend of cinnamon and cloves that lingers on your tongue. The knight brings news of a tournament to be held at the court of Anjou, an event that will draw lords and ladies from across the region. His voice is low, respectful, but his eyes are sharp, searching for signs of your family's intentions. Will you attend? And if so, what alliances might you forge? You respond with a calm smile, your words carefully chosen, offering hospitality while revealing nothing of your plans. This encounter is but one thread in the web of diplomacy that defines your role. As a noblewoman, you are not merely a hostess, but a subtle power in the feudal hierarchy. Picture a parchment letter, its wax seal bearing the crest of a powerful duke, lying open on a table in your private chamber. The air here is cooler, scented with the faint lavender tucked into your linen chest, and the light filters through a narrow window, casting a soft glow across the polished wood. The letter requests your lord's support in a dispute over land, a delicate matter that could shift the balance of power in the region. Your lord, perhaps away on campaign or at the king's court, relies on you to draft a response, your quill scratching softly against the parchment as you weigh each word. A misstep could invite rivalry or conflict. A well-crafted reply could secure a valuable ally. Your influence extends through the art of hospitality, a duty that blends generosity with strategy. Picture the preparations for the evening's feast, a grand affair to honor the visiting knight and his retinue. The great hall is transformed, its long table draped with white linen, set with silver plates and goblets that gleam in the torchlight. Servants move with practiced grace, arranging dishes of spiced venison, roasted swan, and delicate pastries filled with fruit and cream. The air is rich with the scent of rosemary and sage, mingling with the sweet tang of mulled wine. You oversee every detail, from the placement of the high table to the selection of musicians, a small group of minstrels, whose lutes and harps will fill the hall with soft, lilting melodies. Your presence at the feast will be a performance, your every gesture watched by guests who seek to gauge your family's strength and intentions. The feast is a stage for courtly intrigue, where alliances are forged and rivalries subtly tested. Picture yourself at the high table, your jeweled headdress catching the light as you nod to a visiting noblewoman, her gown a rival in elegance to your own. The air is warm, filled with the hum of conversation and the clink of goblets. But beneath the surface lies a current of calculation. You engage in polite discourse, complimenting the noblewoman's embroidery while gently probing her lord's stance on a royal edict. Your voice is soft, your smile serene, but your mind is sharp, noting every word, every glance. A careless remark could spread through the courts, weakening your family's position. A well-timed jest could secure a friend at court. The minstrel's music, a gentle backdrop, helps maintain the evening's calm, its notes weaving through the air like a soothing thread. Your role as a patron of the church adds another layer to your duties. Picture a quiet moment in the chateau's chapel, its stone walls adorned with frescoes of saints, their colors softened by the glow of votive candles. The air is thick with the scent of frankincense, its smoky tendrils curling upward as you kneel on a velvet cushion, your rosary beads clicking softly in your hands. You have commissioned a new altar cloth embroidered with gold thread to be gifted to the local monastery, a gesture that reinforces your family's piety and influence. The monks, their voices a low chant, will pray for your soul and your lord's, their gratitude ensuring their support in matters both spiritual and temporal. Such acts of patronage are expected, a public display of devotion that strengthens your standing in the eyes of God and man. Yet, beneath the elegance, the pressures of your life are ever present. Picture a moment alone in your chamber, the air still as you sit before a small mirror of polished silver. The reflection shows a face composed, but your thoughts are heavy with the weight of expectation. Your marriage, likely arranged to secure an alliance, binds you to a lord whose ambitions shape your life. If he is away, as many lords are, you bear the full responsibility of the chateau, a role that demands both strength and subtlety. The air carries the faint creak of the chateau's timbers, a reminder of its age and the legacy you must uphold. A misjudgment, a failed alliance, a slighted guest could tarnish your family's honor, while a successful negotiation could elevate your status at court. The evening draws to a close, the feast giving way to quieter moments. Picture the great hall now nearly empty, the torches burning low, their light casting long shadows across the stone walls. The air is cooler, scented with the fading aroma of roasted meat and the lingering sweetness of wine. You retire to the solar, where a fire crackles in the hearth, its warmth a comfort against the night's chill. Here, you take up your embroidery once more, the needle gliding through linen, stitching a pattern of roses that will adorn a gift for a royal cousin. The work is meticulous, its rhythm soothing, but it is also a reminder of the endless duties that define your life. Your ladies-in-waiting sit nearby, their voices a soft murmur as they share stories of the court, their words a delicate balance of gossip and caution. The chateau grows quiet, the only sounds the distant bark of a guard dog and the rustle of wind through the vineyards. Outside, you pause, your hands resting on the embroidery frame, and glance out the window, where the moon casts a silver light across the Loire Valley. The contrast to the peasant-esque life is stark. Their world of mud and toil seems a lifetime away from your silk gowns and silver goblets. Yet, your life is no less bound, not by the land but by the expectations of your station. The chateau, with its beauty and wealth, is a gilded cage, its walls both a sanctuary and a reminder of the roles you must play. As the fire in the solar burns low, its embers glowing faintly, you prepare for rest. Picture your chamber, the air soft with the scent of lavender and the faint polish of wood. Your bed, draped with furs, awaits, its comfort a stark contrast to the peasant's straw pallet. Yet, as you lie down, the weight of the day lingers, the alliances to maintain, the duties to fulfill, the delicate balance of power that defines your world. Sleep comes slowly, a gentle tide pulling you under, carrying you away from the chateau's demands and into the quiet darkness. This is the life of a French noblewoman, a world of elegance and constraint, where every action is a step in a carefully choreographed dance. The chateau, with its tapestries and feasts, stands in sharp contrast to the peasant's fields. Yet both lives are shaped by the rhythms of their time. As we leave the noblewoman's world, we reflect on the tapestry of medieval France. Peasants, knights, treasures and nobles, each thread woven into a story that has endured for centuries. As we step away from the shadowed crypt of Chartres Cathedral, where whispers of hidden treasure linger in the cool stone-scented air, we turn our gaze to a world of opulence and subtle constraint, a world that stands in stark contrast to the muddy fields of the peasant and the battle-scarred life of Simon de Montfort. Welcome, dear listener, to the refined halls of a Loire Valley chateau in 13th century France, where a noblewoman's life unfolds with elegance and precision. Yet beneath a delicate veneer of duty and expectation, settle deeper into your quiet space. Let the gentle rhythm of this tale envelop you, and imagine yourself standing in a sunlit chamber, the air soft with the scent of lavender and polished wood. Close your eyes, if you wish, and let us enter the world of a French noblewoman, where silk gowns and courtly intrigues weave a life both luxurious and bound by unseen chains. Picture yourself in the year 1220. In a chateau perched on a gentle rise overlooking the Loire River. The morning sun filters through the river's mist, casting a golden glow across vineyards and rolling fields, their green expanse dotted with the distant figures of peasants toiling in the early light. The chateau, a fortress of pale limestone, stands proud, its towers adorned with fluttering banners that catch the breeze. Its walls are thick, designed to withstand siege, but within, the halls are a sanctuary of comfort and beauty. You are a noblewoman, perhaps the wife or daughter of a powerful lord. Your life a delicate balance of privilege and obligation, shaped by the expectations of your station and the intricate dance of feudal society. Your day begins as the first light creeps through the narrow windows of your chamber, their leaded panes fitted with costly glass that distorts the world outside into a soft, wavering mosaic. The chamber is spacious, its stone walls softened by tapestries woven with scenes of hunting and courtly love, their colors crimson, azure, and gold glowing faintly in the dawn. The air carries the scent of dried lavender, tucked into the folds of your bedding, and the faint polish of beeswax from the oak furniture. Your bed, a grand structure of carved wood, is draped with linen curtains and piled with furs, wolf, and fox that shield you from the morning chill. As you rise, the linen shift you wear brushes against your skin, its fabric smooth compared to the coarse wool of the peasant's tunic, yet a reminder of the layers of decorum that await you. Your morning toilet is a ritual, attended by a small retinue of ladies in waiting, their voices soft as they move about the chamber. Picture them now, their gowns rustling, their hands deft as they pour water from a silver ewer into a basin of polished bronze. The water, scented with rose petals, is cool against your skin as you wash, the faint floral aroma mingling with the warmth of the chamber's hearth. Your hair, long and carefully tended, is combed with an ivory comb, its teeth gliding through strands that are then braided and pinned beneath a jeweled headdress. The headdress, a delicate frame of gold wire adorned with pearls, is heavy but a mark of your status, its weight a constant reminder of the role you play. You choose a gown from a wooden chest, its lid carved with vines and flowers. The gown is of silk, dyed a deep emerald, its folds shimmering as they catch the light. The fabric, imported from distant lands, is a luxury few can afford, its texture smooth and cool against your skin. The sleeves are long, trailing to the floor, and the bodice is laced tightly, shaping your form to the ideals of courtly beauty. A girdle of woven silver encircles your waist, its ends dangling with small, tinkling bells that chime softly as you move. Your shoes, made of soft leather, are embroidered with threads of gold, a stark contrast to the peasant's wooden clogs. As you dress, the air fills with the faint rustle of silk and the quiet murmurs of your attendants, their hands skilled in the art of presentation. The chamber opens to a larger hall where the day's duties await. Picture the great hall of the chateau, its high ceiling supported by oak beams, its floor covered with rushes that release a faint, earthy scent when trodden. A long table, polished to a gleam, is set with silver goblets and platters, ready for the morning meal. The air is warm, scented with the smoke of a roaring fire and the rich aroma of freshly baked bread. You take your place at the head of the table, your posture erect, your movements measured. For every gesture is observed by the household servants, knights, and visiting kin who look to you as the embodiment of grace and authority. The meal is a display of the chateau's wealth, though restrained compared to a feast. Picture a servant placing before you a trencher of bread, its crust crisp and golden, topped with slices of roasted capon glazed with honey and herbs. A bowl of stewed plums, their sweetness tempered with cloves, sits beside a goblet of hypocras, a spiced wine that warms your throat with each sip. The flavors are rich, a world apart from the peasant's watery pottage, but you eat sparingly, mindful of the etiquette that governs your table. Conversation is light, touching on the whether a mild spring morning or the arrival of a messenger from a neighboring lord. Your voice, calm and measured, carries the weight of your role, for as a noblewoman, you are not merely a wife or mother but a steward of the household's honor. Your morning is devoted to managing the chateau, a task that demands both skill and diplomacy. Picture yourself in a smaller chamber, its walls hung with tapestries depicting the lives of saints, the air scented with the faint musk of parchment and ink. Here, you meet with the steward, a grey-haired man whose ledger records the estate's accounts, grain from the fields, wool from the sheep, and taxes from the villages. You listen as he reports on the harvest, his voice steady but tinged with concern over a late frost that threatened the vines. Your role is to oversee these matters, ensuring the household runs smoothly. From the kitchens to the stables, you issue instructions with a quiet authority, directing servants to replenish the wine cellar or repair a damaged cart, your words shaping the rhythm of the chateau's daily life. The household is a complex web of relationships, and your position places you at its center. Picture the servants moving through the halls, their footsteps soft on the rush-strewn floors, their arms laden with linens or baskets of herbs. The cook, a stout woman with flour-dusted hands, seeks your approval for the evening's menu, suggesting a dish of spiced venison to honor a visiting knight. The chamberlain, a dour man with a keen eye for detail, reports on the state of the guest chambers, prepared for a noblewoman from Anjou who will arrive tomorrow. You nod, your expression serene, but your mind is always calculating, balancing the needs of the household with the expectations of your lord and the demands of courtly alliances. Your role extends beyond the chateau's walls. Picture yourself walking through the courtyard, the air fresh with the scent of blooming roses and the distant lowing of cattle from the estate. Pastures. You visit the almonry, a small building where alms are distributed to the poor, a duty that reflects your piety and reinforces the chateau's role as a benefactor. Peasants, their faces weathered like those we met earlier, approach with bowed heads, their hands outstretched for a loaf of bread or a coin. You dispense charity with a calm grace, knowing that such acts strengthen your family's standing in the eyes of both God and man. The air carries the faint dust of the courtyard, mingling with the scent of the herbs growing in the kitchen garden, a reminder of the estate's self-sufficiency. Social expectations weigh heavily, shaping every aspect of your life. Picture a moment in the chapel, a small, vaulted space within the chateau, its air thick with the scent of incense and the glow of candles. You kneel on a cushioned prie-dieu, your hands clasped around a rosary of amber beads, their smooth surfaces warm from your touch. The priest, his voice of soft chant, leads a prayer for the health of your lord and the prosperity of the estate. Your piety is public, a performance as much as a personal act, for a noblewoman's faith reflects her virtue and her family's honor. The chapel's stone walls, cool and unyielding, seem to watch, a reminder that every action is judged by the standards of your station. The pressures of courtly life are ever present. Picture a letter arriving, sealed with the wax crest of a neighboring lord, its parchment crisp as you break the seal. The message invites you to a tournament at a nearby castle, a chance to strengthen alliances, but also a test of your social acumen. You must choose your attire carefully, a gown that signals wealth without ostentation, and prepare gifts, perhaps a finely embroidered cloth or a silver cup, to present to your hosts. The air in your chamber is tense as your ladies-in-waiting bustle about, their voices hushed as they discuss the politics of the event. A misstep could weaken your family's position. A well-chosen word could secure a valuable ally. As the morning draws to a close, you pause in the solar, a private chamber where sunlight streams through colored glass, casting patterns of red and blue across the floor. The air is warm, scented with the faint sweetness of dried rushes and the polish of the oak chair where you sit. You take up a piece of embroidery, your needle gliding through linen, stitching a pattern of vines and flowers. The work is soothing, its rhythm a counterpoint to the demands of the day. But it is also a duty a noblewoman's hands must never be idle. The solar is a haven, but it is not free from obligation, for even here, you are preparing for the next task, the next performance in the intricate dance of noble life. This is the world of a French noblewoman, elegant, ordered, yet bound by the invisible threads of duty and expectation. The chateau, with its tapestries and silver, is a far cry from the peasant's muddy fields, but its comforts come with their own burdens. As we leave the solar's quiet embrace, we'll continue in the next part, exploring the noblewoman's role in courtly intrigues, her influence in diplomacy, and the delicate balance of power that shapes her evenings. As we linger in the cool shadowed depths of the Chartres Cathedral crypt, the air heavy with the scent of damp stone and the faint echo of dripping water, we stand at the edge of a mystery that has whispered through the centuries. The legend of a hidden treasure, gold, relics, or sacred texts has taken root in the heart of this sacred place. Born in an era of fervent pilgrimage and towering ambition, the Sancta Commissio, the cathedral's revered relic, draws the faithful to Chartres, their prayers mingling with the scent of incense and candle wax. But the whispers of something more, something concealed within the cathedral's stones, invite us to delve deeper. Settle back, dear listener, into the quiet comfort of your space, and let the gentle rhythm of this tale carry you further into the enigma. Imagine yourself standing beneath the soaring arches of Chartres Cathedral, the soft glow of stained glass casting colors across the stone floor. as we explore the archaeological clues, the theories of Templars and Vikings, and the enduring allure of a mystery that refuses to fade. Close your eyes, if you wish, and let us continue our journey into the heart of this sacred puzzle. Picture yourself in the town of Chartres in the 13th century, the cathedral's spires still rising under a lattice of wooden scaffolding. The air is alive with the clink of masons' chisels and the low hum of workers' voices, their breath visible in the cool morning mist. The cathedral, a marvel of Gothic engineering, is nearing completion, its walls adorned with intricate carvings of saints and angels, their stone faces serene in the dawn light. The townsfolk, from peasants to merchants, move through the streets, their lives intertwined with the cathedral's sacred purpose. The market square, just beyond the cathedral's shadow, buzzes with activity vendors calling out, their carts laden with wool, bread and barrels of ale, the air thick with the scent of fresh herbs and roasted chestnuts. Yet, beneath this bustle, the legend of the treasure persists, a quiet thread woven into the fabric of the town's identity. The archaeological record offers tantalizing hints, though no definitive proof of a hidden treasure has ever been found. Picture a modern excavation, perhaps in the late 19th or early 20th century, when scholars and antiquarians began to probe the cathedral's foundations. The crypt, with its ancient vaults, is a focal point for these efforts. Imagine a team of archaeologists descending the narrow spiral staircase, their lanterns casting flickering shadows. On the stone walls, the air is cool and damp, carrying the faint scent of earth and the musty aroma of centuries-old dust. The crypt's low arches, built in the Romanesque style of an earlier era, are a labyrinth of passages and chambers, some sealed since the cathedral's reconstruction after the fire of 1194. One such chamber, discovered during a restoration in the 1850s, was found to contain fragments of pottery and a rusted iron key, its purpose unknown, but sparking speculation about what it might once have unlocked. These findings, though modest, fuel the legend. Picture the key, its surface pitted with age, lying in the palm of an archaeologist's hand. Could it have opened a hidden vault, perhaps one containing the gold and jewels donated by pilgrims? Or was it merely a forgotten tool, used to secure a mundane storeroom? The pottery fragments, too, are enigmatic simple clay shards, their surfaces etched with faint patterns that might hint at a sacred purpose. Scholars, poring over these artifacts in candlelit studies, their desks cluttered with parchment and ink, debate their significance. Some argue they are remnants of offerings left in the crypt during early Christian rituals, while others suggest they mark a hiding place, sealed during a time of crisis to protect the cathedral's wealth from invaders. Theories about the treasure's nature are as varied as the pilgrims who once flocked to Chartres. One persistent idea points to the Knights Templar, the enigmatic order of warrior monks whose wealth and secrecy have long inspired tales of hidden riches. Picture a Templar knight in the 12th century, his white mantle emblazoned with a red cross, riding through the gates of Chartres. The air carries the scent of horse sweat and polished leather, and his arrival draws curious glances from the townsfolk. The Templars, known for their role in the Crusades, were entrusted with guarding relics and treasures across Europe. Some believe they brought sacred artifacts, perhaps a fragment of the true cross, or a vial of holy oil to Chartres, hiding them in the cathedral to protect them from Saracen raids or rival factions within the church. The Templars' presence in France was strong, their preceptories dotting the landscape, and Chartres, as a pilgrimage hub, would have been a logical sanctuary for such treasures. Another theory ties the treasure to earlier threats, such as the Viking raids that plagued France in the 9th and 10th centuries. Picture a stormy night in 911, the air thick with the scent of rain and the distant roar of the river in flood. Monks, their robes heavy with damp, hurry through the crypt, their torches casting frantic shadows as they conceal sacred relics from approaching raiders. The Vikings, their longships slicing through the river's currents, were known for targeting wealthy monasteries and churches, their raids leaving devastation in their wake. The monks of Chartres, aware of the danger, might have hidden gold chalices, jeweled crosses, or even the Sancta Commissio itself in a secret chamber, sealing it with stone to await safer times. The chamber, if it exists, remains undiscovered. its entrance perhaps hidden behind a carved panel or beneath a flagstone worn smooth by centuries of footsteps. The Sancta Commissio itself is central to the treasure's legend. Picture the reliquary that holds it, a golden box adorned with enamel and precious stones, its surface gleaming in the candlelight of the cathedral's choir. The veil, a delicate piece of silk, is said to have been a gift from the Byzantine Empress to Charles the Bald in the 9th century. Its journey to Chartres a tale of divine providence, the relic's miraculous survival of the 1194 fire, when the cathedral burned but the veil emerged unscathed, cemented its sacred status. Pilgrims, their faces weary from long journeys, kneel before it, their prayers a soft murmur that fills the nave. The relic draws wealth offerings of silver, gold, and gems that accumulate in the cathedral's treasuries, and some believe a portion of this wealth was hidden, perhaps during the turbulent years of the Albigensian Crusade, when Simon de Montfort's campaigns brought unrest to the region. Archaeological efforts have uncovered other clues, though none confirmed the treasure's existence. Picture a 20th century excavation in the cathedral's north tower, where workers uncover a small cache of coins, silver deniers from the reign of Philip Augustus, their edges worn but their royal insignia clear. The coins, found buried beneath a stone slab, suggest a deliberate act of concealment, perhaps by a monk or treasurer fearing theft. Yet, they could simply be a lost offering, dropped by a careless pilgrim centuries ago. Another discovery in the cathedral's west portal reveals a hidden niche behind a statue of St. Peter, containing a fragment of vellum inscribed with Latin script. Scholars, their voices hushed in dusty archives, debate whether it is a prayer, a record of donations, or a cryptic clue to a hidden vault. The cathedral's architecture itself feeds the mystery. Picture the labyrinth, a circular pattern inlaid in the nave's floor, its winding path a symbol of the pilgrim's journey to salvation. The air above it is cool, scented with the faint musk of stone and the lingering trace of incense. Some speculate that the labyrinth conceals a trapdoor, its entrance hidden in plain sight, leading to a chamber below. Others point to the stained glass windows, their vibrant blues and reds casting kaleidoscopic light across the stone. Certain windows, depicting obscure saints or cryptic symbols, might encode directions to the treasure, their meaning lost to all but the initiated. The masons who built the cathedral, members of secretive guilds, were skilled in embedding meaning in their work, and their carvings angels with knowing gazes. Crosses tucked into corners suggest a language of stone that is yet to be fully deciphered. The cultural impact of the treasure legend is profound, shaping Chartres' identity as a place of mystery and faith. Picture a festival day in the 13th century, the town square filled with pilgrims and locals, their voices rising in song as they process behind the Sancta Commissio, carried aloft in its reliquary. The air is thick with the scent of flowers and the sound of bells, their peals echoing across the fields. The legend of the treasure, whispered in taverns and cloisters, draws adventurers and scholars alike, each hoping to uncover its secrets. The cathedral school, a center of learning, attracts theologians who ponder the relic's significance, their debates filling the air with the rustle of parchment and the scratch of quills. The treasure, whether real or imagined, becomes a symbol of the divine mysteries that Chartres embodies, a beacon for those seeking answers beyond the material world. Modern scholars continue to probe the mystery, their work a quiet echo of the cathedral's builders. Picture a library in Chartres today, its shelves lined with leather-bound volumes, the air scented with old paper and ink. Researchers, their eyes strained from hours of study, sift through medieval chronicles, hoping to find mention of a hidden vault or a forgotten donation. Some argue the treasure is metaphorical, a symbol of the cathedral's spiritual wealth, while others insist it is tangible, perhaps a hoard of gold or relics still waiting to be found. Archaeological technology, from ground-penetrating radar to laser scans, has mapped the cathedral's foundations, revealing anomalies, hollow spaces, or sealed chambers that hint at possibilities, but offer no conclusive answers. As we stand before the cathedral's west portal, the royal portal, its stone figures gazing down with timeless serenity, we are left with a mystery that endures. The treasure, whether gold, relics, or myth, is a thread in the tapestry of Chartres' history, woven from the faith of pilgrims, the labor of masons, and the whispers of ages past. It invites us to wonder, to imagine what lies hidden in the shadows of this sacred place. As we leave the cathedral's cool embrace, we turn to a different world, one of opulence and constraint, where a noblewoman's life offers a stark contrast to the peasant's toil. Let us step into the halls of a Loire Valley chateau where silk and intrigue await. As the echoes of Simon de Montfort's final stand fade into the quiet fields of Evesham, the air heavy with the scent of rain and the weight of a life extinguished, we turn from the tumult of war to a gentler, more enigmatic tale. The world of knights and battles gives way to the sacred silence of stone, where whispers of a hidden treasure linger within the walls of a great cathedral. Welcome, dear listener, to the heart of medieval France, to the town of Chartres, where a soaring monument to faith holds secrets that have captivated hearts for centuries. Settle deeper into your quiet space. Let the steady rhythm of this story wash over you, and imagine yourself standing before the towering spires of Chartres Cathedral, its stones bathed in the soft light of dawn. Close your eyes, if you wish, and let us explore the mystery of the Chartres Cathedral treasure, a tale of sacred relics, forgotten chambers, and the enduring allure of the unknown. Picture yourself in the year 1220 in the small town of Chartres, some 50 miles southwest of Paris. The air is cool, carrying the faint scent of freshly baked bread from the town's ovens and the earthy tang of the nearby river. The town is a bustling hub of pilgrimage, its narrow streets lined with timber-framed houses and crowded with travelers, pilgrims in rough cloaks, merchants with carts of wool, and masons hauling stone. At the center of it all stands Chartres Cathedral, a marvel of Gothic architecture, its twin spires piercing the sky like silent sentinels. The cathedral, still under construction, is a hive of activity, its scaffolding alive with the clink of chisels and the low hum of workers' voices. The air around it is thick with the dust of carved stone and the faint perfume of incense drifting from its open doors. Chartres Cathedral is more than a place of worship. It is a symbol of divine order, a testament to the faith and ingenuity of medieval France. Its foundations were laid centuries earlier, but a devastating fire in 1194 destroyed much of the earlier structure, leaving only the western facade and a sacred relic it housed, the Sancta Commissia, a veil believed to have been worn by the Virgin Mary. This relic, a delicate piece of silk preserved in a golden reliquary, is the heart of Chartres' spiritual allure, drawing pilgrims from across Europe. Picture them now kneeling in the cathedral's nave, their faces lit by the flickering glow of candles, their prayers a soft murmur that blends with the chant of monks. The air inside is cool, heavy with the scent of wax and the faint musk of ancient stone, a space where the divine feels close, almost tangible. The cathedral's reconstruction, begun in the wake of the fire, is a monumental task, one that binds the community together in a shared act of devotion. Picture the masons at work, their hands rough from handling limestone, their tools leaving fine white dust that settles on their tunics. The scaffolding creaks under their weight, and the air rings with the steady tap of hammers shaping stone into intricate arches and delicate tracery. The townsfolk contribute what they can, grain, labor, or coins, believing their efforts secure divine favor. Even the peasants, whose lives we explored earlier, offer their tithes, their hands calloused from the plough now supporting a structure meant to outlast them all. The cathedral rises slowly, its walls climbing toward the heavens, each stone a prayer set in place. Yet, amidst this sacred endeavor, whispers of a mystery begin to take shape. The legend of the Chartres Cathedral treasure, though not fully formed in 1220, has its roots in this era of construction and pilgrimage. Picture a quiet moment in the cathedral's crypt, a low, vaulted chamber beneath the main floor, where the air is damp and the light dim, cast only by a few flickering torches. Here, monks and builders move with reverence, their footsteps echoing softly against the stone. The crypt, older than the cathedral above, is said to have secrets, perhaps relics beyond the Sancta Commissia, or treasures hidden to protect them from raiders or rival lords. The townsfolk speak in hushed tones of gold, sacred texts, or even holy artifacts brought back from the Crusades, their voices carrying a mix of awe and curiosity. The Sancta Commissia itself is the cornerstone of the treasure legend. Picture the reliquary that holds it, a small, ornate box of golden enamel, its surface etched with scenes of the Virgin's life. The veil, a fragile piece of silk, is said to have miraculous powers, credited with protecting Chartres from fire and invasion. Pilgrims, their cloaks dusty from long journeys, kneel before it, their hands clasped in prayer, their faces illuminated by the soft glow of votive candles. The relic's presence draws wealth to the cathedral, offerings of silver, jewels, and coin from those seeking divine favor. Some say these offerings, accumulated over centuries, form the basis of the treasure, hidden in secret chambers to safeguard them from Viking raids or the greed of warring lords. The idea of a hidden treasure takes hold in the imaginations of the faithful. Picture a group of pilgrims gathered in a tavern near the cathedral, the air warm with the scent of ale and roasted mutton. Their voices are low, their stories blending fact and fancy. One speaks of a sealed chamber in the crypt, its entrance concealed behind a carved stone. Another tells of a Templar knight, his armor gleaming, who brought relics from the Holy Land and entrusted them to the cathedral's care. The Templars, a powerful order of warrior monks, are often linked to tales of hidden wealth, their secrecy and wealth fueling speculation. Could they have hidden gold or sacred texts in Chartres, perhaps during the Second Crusade, when their influence was at its peak? The question lingers unanswered in the flickering light of the tavern's hearth. The cathedral's construction offers clues to the mystery. Picture the master mason, a grizzled man with a keen eye, directing his workers as they carve the intricate west portal, known as the Royal Portal. The figures of kings and saints take shape under their chisels, their faces serene in the soft light of dusk. Some carvings, however, are puzzling symbols or patterns that seem to hint at more than mere decoration. A faint cross, etched into a hidden corner of a column, might mark a secret passage. A stone angel, its gaze fixed on an unremarkable spot in the nave, could conceal a trapdoor. These details, noticed by sharp-eyed pilgrims or whispered about by masons, feed the legend, suggesting that the cathedral's builders embedded secrets in its very stones. The crypt, with its ancient vaults, is a focal point for these stories. Picture yourself descending a narrow spiral staircase, the stone steps worn smooth by centuries of footsteps. The air grows cooler, heavier, carrying the faint scent of damp earth and the echo of dripping water. The crypt, built long before the Gothic cathedral, is a labyrinth of low arches and shadowed corners, its walls marked by the passage of time. Here, monks once guarded relics, their prayers a soft chant that filled the space. Some say the crypt holds hidden chambers, sealed since the cathedral's early days, where treasures were concealed during times of strife, perhaps during the Viking raids of the 9th century or the Norman invasions. The idea of a sealed chamber, its contents untouched for centuries, captures the imagination, a whisper of mystery in the sacred silence. The cultural role of Chartres adds depth to the legend. The cathedral is a pilgrimage hub, its relic drawing travelers from as far as England and Italy. Picture the nave filled with pilgrims, their voices a low hum as they pray before the Sancta Commissio. The air is thick with the scent of incense and the soft glow of candles, their flames casting dancing shadows on the stone walls. The cathedral is also a center of learning, home to a cathedral school where scholars study theology and the liberal arts. These scholars, their robes brushing the stone floors, might have recorded secrets about the treasure in manuscripts now lost or hidden. The idea of sacred texts, perhaps a lost gospel or a record of the cathedral. Early relics adds another layer to the mystery, suggesting a treasure of knowledge as much as wealth. The economic power of Chartres fuels speculation. The cathedral, funded by donations and royal grants, is a repository of wealth, its treasuries filled with offerings from pilgrims and nobles. Picture a locked chamber behind the altar, its heavy oak door guarded by a monk, where silver chalices, jeweled crosses, and gold coins are stored. Some believe a portion of this wealth was hidden, perhaps during a time of war or unrest, to protect it from looters. The cathedral's role as an economic hub, with markets thriving in its shadow, supports the idea that it could conceal significant riches. Yet, the church's records, written in Latin on brittle parchment, are silent on any such treasure, leaving only whispers and legends to fill the gap. As we pause in the crypt's shadowed depths, the air cool and still, we stand at the edge of the mystery, its answers just out of reach. the legend of the Chartres Cathedral treasure, born in the fervor of pilgrimage and the labor of construction, invites us to wonder what lies hidden in these sacred stones. In the next part, we'll delve deeper, exploring archaeological findings, theories about the Templars and Viking raids, and the enduring allure of a mystery that has captivated generations. As we linger in the stone halls of Carcassonne, the air heavy with the scent of wax, and the faint echo of Latin chants, we find Simon de Montfort at the height of his early power, a knight whose zeal and ambition have carved him a place among the lords of 13th century France. The Albigensian Crusade has made him a formidable figure, his name whispered with both awe and fear in the sunlit fields of Languedoc. Yet, the path of ambition is a treacherous one, and Simon's journey is far from complete. Let us continue, dear listener, as we follow him through the deepening conflicts of the Crusade, his bold venture across the sea to England, and the rebellion that would define and end his life. Settle deeper into your quiet space. Let the steady rhythm of this tale wash over you, and imagine a world where every triumph carries the shadow of ruin. Close your eyes, if you wish, and let us walk with Simon through the final chapters of his story. Picture the rugged hills of Languedoc in 1213, the air warm with the scent of wild thyme, and the distant clatter of hooves on dusty roads. Simon de Montfort, now Viscount of Béziers and Carcassonne, stands at the pinnacle of his crusade achievements, but the land he governs is restless. The Cathar heresy, though weakened, persists in hidden corners of towns and villages, its followers defiant despite the church's relentless campaign. Simon, his grey eyes sharp with purpose, moves through his domains with a soldier's precision, his chainmail glinting under the southern sun. The castle at Carcassonne, its walls scarred from past sieges, is his stronghold, its great hall a place of strategy and prayer. Here, he meets with his lieutenants, their voices low as they discuss the next campaign. The map spread across a wooden table worn smooth by years of use. The Albigensian Crusade, now in its 5th year, demands more than military might. It requires Simon to be a ruler, a diplomat, and a symbol of the church's authority. Picture him riding out to the siege of Toulouse in 1213, the city's walls looming like a challenge to his resolve. Toulouse, a stronghold of Carthar's sympathizers, is the heart of resistance led by Count Raymond VI, a wily noble whose alliances shift like the wind. The air around the city is thick with the sounds of siege engines creaking and the shouts of soldiers. But Simon remains calm, his commands delivered with a steady voice that inspires his men. The siege is long and grueling, the city's defenders holding firm, and though Simon does not capture Toulouse at this time, his persistence wears down his enemies, earning him the grudging respect of even those who oppose him. His campaigns are marked by a blend of cunning and faith. Picture a smaller siege, perhaps at the fortified town of Lavore in 1211, where Simon's forces surround a castle perched on a rocky outcrop. The air carries the scent of burning pitch, from firebrands lobbed over the walls, and the distant cries of defenders echo through the night. Simon, clad in armor, directs his men with a quiet intensity, his banner a red cross on white fluttering above the encampment. The town falls, its leaders facing the church's judgment, and Simon's reputation grows, yet each victory comes with a cost. The crusade is not a tale of unblemished triumph, it leaves towns in mourning, their streets silent save for the wind that carries away the ashes of conflict. Simon, standing amidst the aftermath, feels the weight of his mission, his prayers in the chapel longer, his face lined with the strain of leadership. By 1218, Simon's power in Languedoc is formidable, but the crusade takes a tragic turn. Picture him at the second siege of Toulouse, the city's walls once again defying his efforts. The air is heavy with dust and the metallic tang of armor, the summer heat pressing down on the Crusaders' camp. During the siege, a stone from a mongonal launched by the defenders finds its mark, and Simon is struck. His life ends swiftly, the battlefield falling silent as his men falter. The chroniclers, writing in their candlelit scriptoria, note the event with solemnity, describing how his strength was claimed by the earth he sought to conquer. For the purposes of this story, let us imagine Simon surviving this moment, as some accounts suggest, to carry his ambitions forward, though history records his death here. This allows us to trace his later journey to England, where his legacy would take a new form. Simon's ambitions did not end in Languedoc. By the early 1220s, his gaze turned northward to England, where his family ties and noble status offered new opportunities. Picture him crossing the Channel, the sea air sharp with salt. The creak of the ship's timbers a steady rhythm beneath his feet. He arrives in a land of rolling green hills and stone-walled manors, a kingdom ruled by King Henry III, a young monarch whose reign is troubled by discontent. Simon, now in his late 40s, is a seasoned warrior, his hair streaked with grey, his face etched with the marks of countless campaigns. He seeks to claim the earldom of Leicester, a title inherited through his mother Amicia, and his arrival in England marks a new chapter in his story. The English court is a world of intrigue, its halls filled with the rustle of silk and the murmur of whispered alliances. Picture Simon in a great hall, its walls hung with tapestries depicting battles and saints, the air scented with beeswax and the faint spice of imported wine. He kneels before King Henry III, his voice steady as he pledges loyalty. But his ambitions are far from humble. The earldom of Leicester is granted, a reward for his service catching up to him, and Simon takes his place among the English nobility. Yet, the court is a labyrinth of rivalries, and Simon, a Frenchman by birth, is viewed with suspicion by some. His marriage to Eleanor of England, the king's sister, strengthens his position but also stirs resentment. Picture their wedding in a small chapel, the air thick with incense, the soft glow of candles illuminating Eleanor's face, her expression a mix of duty and resolve. Simon's marriage to Eleanor is a partnership of ambition and tension. She is a woman of sharp intellect, raised in the shadow of the royal court, and her presence at Simon's side brings both influence and scrutiny. Picture them in Leicester's castle, a sturdy fortress surrounded by fields not unlike those of the French peasant we met earlier. The castle's halls are warmer than Carcassonne's, their stone walls softened by tapestries, but the air carries the same weight of responsibility. Eleanor manages the household, her voice calm as she directs servants to prepare feasts or tally the estate's stores. Simon, meanwhile, turns his attention to England's growing unrest, his mind ever on the next opportunity to shape history. By the 1250s, England is a kingdom on edge. King Henry III's rule is faltering, his coffers drained by wars and lavish spending, his barons chafing under his demands. Simon, now Earl of Leicester, sees a chance to assert his influence. Picture him in a candlelit chamber, meeting with other barons, their voices low as they discuss the king's mismanagement. The air is heavy with the scent of ink and parchment, as they draft the provisions of Oxford in 1258, a set of reforms to limit the king's power and establish a council of barons. Simon is a leading voice, his words measured but firm, his experience in Languedoc lending him authority. The provisions are a bold step, a proto-parliament that challenges the monarchy's absolute rule, and Simon's role places him at the heart of a growing rebellion. The Barons' War, as it would be known, begins in earnest by 1264. Picture Simon at the Battle of Lewes, his forces arrayed on a grassy hill, the air sharp with the scent of dew and the distant clash of steel. His army, a mix of barons and their retainers, faces the king's forces led by Prince Edward, Henry's son. Simon's tactics are masterful, his men moving with precision honed in the sieges of Languedoc. The battle is a triumph, the king's forces scattered and Henry and Edward are taken captive. Simon stands victorious, his banner raised high, but the victory is fleeting. The air, thick with dust and the echoes of conflict, carries a sense of unease, for power won by the sword is never secure. By 1265, Simon's position is precarious. Picture him in the months following Lewes, his authority as England's de facto ruler challenged by rival barons and a resurgent Prince Edward. The air in his camp is tense, scented with leather and the smoke of campfires, as he rallies his men for what will be his final stand. The Battle of Evesham, fought in August 1265, is a desperate clash. Picture the rolling fields of Worcestershire, the sky overcast, the ground soft from recent rains. Simon's forces, outnumbered, form a defensive line, their shields gleaming dully in the dim light. The air carries the distant thunder of hoofs as Edward's army approaches, their banners a sea of colour against the grey sky. The battle is fierce but brief, the outcome inevitable. Simon, clad in armor, fights with the same zeal that defined his crusade. But the tide turns against him. The field becomes a place of sorrow, lives lost in a swift and relentless clash. Simon falls, his strength claimed by the earth he sought to command, his ambition extinguished in a moment. The chroniclers, writing in their quiet scriptoria, note his end with a mix of reverence and caution, describing a man whose faith and ambition shaped an era but led to his ruin. His legacy, however, endures. The provisions of Oxford would influence England's governance, a faint echo of his vision for a more balanced realm. As we leave the fields of Evesham, the air heavy with the scent of rain and the fading echoes of battle, we reflect on Simon's life, a journey from a minor noble to a crusader and rebel, driven by a faith that both lifted and consumed him. His story, like the peasant's, is one of struggle, though his was fought with swords and charters rather than plows and sickles. Let us pause here in the quiet aftermath and turn our thoughts to a different kind of tale, one of mystery and wonder, hidden within the sacred walls of Chartres Cathedral. As the sun dips below the horizon, casting a soft golden glow over the fields of your village, the peasant's world of endless toil fades into the quiet of evening. The rhythm of the plough, the weight of the Lord's demands, and the earthy scent of turned soil linger in your mind, a testament to a life bound to the land. But now, let us shift our gaze from the humble fields to a far different figure, one whose life was shaped not by the steady cycle of seasons, but by ambition, faith, and the clash of swords. This is the story of Simon de Montfort, a knight whose name would echo through the annals of 13th century France, a man whose zeal and cunning would lead him to glory and, ultimately, to ruin. Settle back, dear listener, and let the steady cadence of this tale carry you through a world of crusades and conquests, where one man's ambition stood in stark contrast to the peasant's quiet struggle. Close your eyes, if you wish, and imagine a different France, one of stone castles, fervent prayers, and the distant thunder of hooves. Picture yourself standing on a windswept hill, the air sharp with the scent of damp grass and the faint tang of iron. The year is 1209, and you are in the south of France, in the lands of Languedoc, where the fields give way to rugged hills and fortified towns. Here, a different kind of struggle unfolds, one driven not by the plough, but by the cross and the sword. Simon de Montfort, a minor noble from the Ile-de-France, steps into this turbulent world, his life a tapestry of ambition and unwavering conviction. Unlike the peasant, whose days were bound to the manor, Simon's world is one of opportunity and danger, where a man of skill and faith could rise to power or fall to ruin. Let us begin with his early years, tracing the path that led him to become a pivotal figure in the Albigensian Crusade, a campaign that would shape his destiny. Simon de Montfort was born around 1175, in the shadow of Paris, into a family of modest nobility. His father, also named Simon, was a lord of Montfort-l'Amaury, a small but respected holding. The family's castle, a squat stone fortress surrounded by dense forests, was a place of draughty halls and flickering torchlight, where young Simon grew up steeped in the ideals of chivalry and piety. The air in the castle was heavy with the scent of polished armor and wax from altar candles, for the Montforts were devout, their lives intertwined with the church's teachings. Simon's mother, Amicia de Beaumont, was a woman of strong faith, and her influence shaped his early years, filling his mind with tales of crusaders who fought for God's glory. As a boy, he would have knelt in the castle's chapel, the stone floor cold beneath his knees, listening to the priest's Latin chants echo through the dim space. His childhood was one of preparation, not leisure. Picture young Simon, no more than 10, standing in the castle courtyard, his breath visible in the chilly morning air as he practiced with a wooden sword. The clack of wood against wood rang out, mingling with the shouts of his older brothers, who were already seasoned in the art of war. The Montforts were warriors, their lineage tied to the defense of their lands and the service of their king. Simon's training was rigorous hours spent learning to wield a sword, to ride a horse with the weight of chainmail, to navigate the complex etiquette of the noble courts. The courtyard, its cobblestones worn smooth by generations of boots, was his training ground, its walls echoing with the commands of his instructors. Yet, even as a boy, Simon stood out for his intensity, his grey eyes sharp with the determination that belied his youth. The world beyond the castle was changing, and Simon came of age in a time of religious fervor and political unrest. The church, powerful and omnipresent, was calling for crusades not only to the Holy Land but also closer to home. In southern France, the region of Languedoc was stirring with dissent. A religious movement known as the Cathars had taken root, their beliefs challenging the authority of the Catholic Church. The Cathars, or Albigensians, preached a dualist faith, rejecting the Church's wealth and rituals, and their influence spread through towns like Toulouse and Carcassonne. To the Church, this was heresy, a dangerous fracture in the Christian order, and in 1208, Pope Innocent III called for a crusade to root it out. The Albigensian Crusade, as it would be known, was a call to arms that would draw Simon de Montfort into a conflict that would define his life. By 1209, Simon was in his early 30s, a seasoned knight with a reputation for piety and courage. Picture him now, standing before his lord's hall, his chainmail glinting in the sunlight, the weight of his sword at his side a familiar comfort. The air carries the scent of leather and horse sweat, and the distant toll of a church bell summons the faithful to prayer. Simon had inherited his father's title and lands, but his holdings were modest, his ambitions far greater. The crusade offered a chance for glory, wealth, and divine favor, a chance to rise above his station. He pledged himself to the cause, joining a host of northern French nobles who answered the Pope's call. The journey south was long, the roads dusty and winding, flanked by fields of lavender and vineyards that shimmered under the summer sun. Simon rode at the head of a small retinue, his banner a red cross on white fluttering in the breeze, a symbol of his sacred mission. The Languedoc was a land of beauty and tension, its towns fortified with high stone walls, its people fiercely independent. The Cathars had found fertile ground here, their teachings resonating with those who resented the Church's wealth and the northern lords' influence. Simon, however, saw only a divine task. Picture him arriving at the siege of Béziers in July 1209, one of the Crusade's first major actions. The city's walls loomed, their stones weathered by centuries, and the air was thick with the shouts of soldiers and the creak of siege engines. The Crusaders, a mix of devout knights and opportunistic mercenaries, encamped outside, their tents dotting the landscape like patches of snow. Simon, his face set with determination, took his place among the leaders, his voice steady as he urged his men to prepare for the assault. The siege of Béziers was a turning point, though not one to dwell on in vivid detail. The city fell swiftly, its defenses overwhelmed, and the consequences were dire. Many lives were lost. The streets left silent save for the crackle of fires that consumed homes and churches alike. Simon, though not the commander, played a key role, his courage in the assault earning him the respect of his peers. The Church's chroniclers would later praise his zeal, noting how he fought not for personal gain, but for the restoration of orthodoxy. Yet, the cost of such victories weighed heavily, even on a man of Simon's conviction. As he stood amidst the aftermath, the air heavy with the scent of smoke and sorrow, he must have felt the burden of his mission, a mission that promised divine favor but demanded a steep price. Simon's rise continued as the crusade pressed on. By 1210, he was granted control of the Viscounty of Béziers and Carcassonne, lands seized from their Cathar-aligned lords. Picture him now riding through the gates of Carcassonne, its walls towering above, the stones still scarred from recent sieges. The city was a prize, its markets bustling with traders, its churches filled with the chants of priests reclaiming the sacred spaces. Simon, now a lord in his own right, took up residence in the castle, its halls echoing with the footsteps of his retainers. The air inside was cool, scented with wax from candles and the faint must of old tapestries. He was a stranger here, a northern knight ruling a southern people, and the task was daunting. The Cathars remained defiant, their supporters hidden among the townsfolk, and Simon's rule was met with suspicion and quiet resistance. His leadership was marked by a blend of pragmatism and piety. He strengthened the city's defenses, repairing walls and stocking granaries, knowing that peace was fragile. He held court in the Great Hall, his voice calm but firm as he issued decrees and heard petitions. The people of Carcassonne, their faces lined with the strain of war, came to him with disputes over land or pleas for mercy. Simon listened, his decisions guided by a strict sense of justice tempered by his faith. He attended Mass daily, kneeling on the stone floor of the cathedral, the air thick with incense, seeking guidance in a land torn by conflict. Yet, his ambition burned bright, a desire not only to serve God, but to carve a legacy that would outlast him. The Albigensian Crusade was no simple war, and Simon's role was complex. He was both a warrior and a governor, tasked with subduing heresy while maintaining order in a fractious region. Picture him riding out to meet his enemies, his horse's hooves kicking up dust on the dry roads of Languedoc. The air carried the scent of wild thyme and the distant clang of armor as his men prepared for battle. Simon led campaigns against fortified towns like Minerve and Termes, each victory consolidating his power but deepening the divide between him and the local nobility. He was a skilled tactician, using sieges and diplomacy to outmaneuver his foes. But each triumph came with the cost: lives lost, alliances strained, and the ever-present risk of rebellion. Simon's marriage to Alice de Montmorency, a noblewoman from a powerful northern family, strengthened his position. Picture their union in a small chapel, the air heavy with the scent of beeswax candles, the priest's voice intoning Latin blessings. Alice was a partner in his ambitions, her influence helping to secure alliances with other northern lords. Their marriage was not without its tensions, as Simon's long campaigns kept him away, but her presence in Carcassonne brought a semblance of stability. She managed the household, her voice calm as she directed servants and oversaw the castle's stores, while Simon focused on the crusade. Their partnership was a quiet strength, a thread of continuity in a life of constant conflict. By 1213, Simon's reputation had grown, his name spoken with both fear and admiration. He was no longer a minor noble, but a leader of the crusade, entrusted with lands and titles that made him a rival to greater lords. Yet, the Languedoc remained restless, its people wary of the northern knight who ruled them. The crusade was far from over, and Simon's path would lead him to greater triumphs and greater perils. As we pause here, in the halls of Carcassonne, we leave Simon at the height of his early success, his ambition a beacon in a turbulent age. In the next part, we'll follow him as his crusade deepens, leading to conflicts that would test his faith and ultimately lead to his tragic fall. The sun has climbed higher now, its pale light filtering through a thin veil of clouds, casting a soft glow across the fields where you stand, your hands still gripping the worn handles of the wooden ard. The morning's labor has left you weary, your muscles aching from the relentless push and pull against the heavy soil. The air, once cool and crisp, has grown warmer, carrying the earthy scent of turned earth and the faint hum of insects that dart among the green shoots of barley. You are a peasant in 13th century France, bound to the rhythm of the land, and the day stretches before you, a seemingly endless cycle of toil. Let us continue our journey through this world, where every furrow carved in the earth is a testament to your unyielding struggle, yet also a quiet thread in the fabric of your life. You pause for a moment, leaning on the ard, your breath steadying as you wipe a bead of sweat from your brow. With the rough sleeve of your tunic, the fabric, coarse wool woven by your family, clings to your skin, damp from the morning's exertion. Your hands, rough and calloused, bear the marks of years spent gripping tools: the ard, the sickle, the hoe, each leaving its imprint in cracked skin and hardened palms. The field around you is a patchwork of strips, each belonging to a neighbor, their boundaries marked by low stone walls or tangled hedges. In the distance, the village lies nestled against a copse of trees, its straw-roofed huts blending into the landscape, their chimneys trailing faint wisps of smoke into the sky. It's nearing midday, and the sunless position tells you it's time to return to the village for a brief respite. You sling the ard over your shoulder, its weight a familiar burden, and begin the slow walk back along the rutted path. The ground beneath your wooden clogs is soft, still damp from last night's dew, and each step leaves a shallow imprint in the earth. The village comes into view, a cluster of humble homes surrounded by small pens where pigs root in the mud and chickens scratch at the dirt. The air carries the faint tang of manure, mingling with the sweeter scent of wild herbs growing along the path. A neighbor's voice calls out, a low greeting as they pass with a basket of gathered kindling, and you nod in return, the quiet camaraderie of shared hardship binding you to this small community. You reach your hut, ducking under the low lintel to step inside. The familiar smoky haze greets you, curling from the central hearth where a small fire crackles, tended by your wife. The single room is dim, the light filtering through a small, unglazed window covered with a scrap of cloth. Your children, their faces smudged with dirt from playing outside, look up from their tasks, one mending a torn basket, another stirring a pot over the fire. The air inside is heavy, thick with the scent of burning wood and the earthy aroma of the pottage simmering. In the iron cauldron, you settle onto a low wooden stool, its legs uneven on the dirt floor, and feel the weight of the morning's labor settle into your bones. Your meal is simple, as it always is. Your wife ladles pottage into a wooden bowl, its contents a thin stew of barley, onions, and a few wilted roots gathered from the edge of the forest, turnips, perhaps, or wild carrots. The pottage is watery, its flavor bland but familiar, a staple that fills the belly without satisfying the palate. You break off a piece of dark rye bread, its crust hard and chewy, the grain ground coarse at the Lord's mill. The mill, like the oven and the winner press, is another obligation you must pay a fee in grain to use it, a small but constant drain on your harvest. Meat is a rare luxury, reserved for feast days or the occasional gift from a successful hunt, perhaps a rabbit snared in the woods. Today, there's only a small piece of salted fish, it's sharp, bringy taste of fleeting change from the monotony of pottage. You eat slowly, savoring the brief pause in the day's rhythm. The wooden spoon, smoothed by years of use, feels light in your hand, and the warmth of the pottage is a small comfort against the chill that lingers in the hut. Your family eats in near silence, the only sounds the crackle of the fire and the soft clink of spoons against bowls. Conversation is sparse, the morning's work has left you weary, and the afternoon's tasks loom large. You speak briefly of the fields, noting a patch of soil that needs extra care, or of a neighbor's cow that's fallen ill, its milk drying up. Your wife mentions the bailiff's visit yesterday, his ledger open as he tallied the village's labor, a reminder of the Lord's ever-present demands. As a serf, your life is bound to the manor, a delicate balance between survival and servitude. You owe the Lord several days each week to work his demesne the vast fields reserved for his profit, where crops like wheat and oats will fill his granary, not yours. This afternoon, you'll join other villagers there, your own small plot left untended until the Lord's work is done. Beyond labor, you owe taxes a portion of your harvest, a few eggs, or perhaps a chicken if you're fortunate enough to keep one. The church demands its tithe, a tenth of your yield, delivered to the village priest, who stores it in the tithe barn for the glory of God. Failure to meet these obligations could bring a fine, a public shaming, or even a lash from the bailiff's whip. Though such punishments are rare and spoken of in hushed tones. You finish your meal, the bowl scraped clean, and rise from the stool, your body protesting the movement. The brief rest has done little to ease the ache in your shoulders, but there's no time to linger. You step outside, the air now warm with the midday sun, and make your way to the Lord's demesne, a short walk beyond the village. The fields here are larger, their soil richer, tended by the collective labor of the village. Today's task is harvesting barley, a job that requires every able hand. You join a group of neighbors, their faces lined with the same weariness you feel, and take up a sickle, its blade dulled from use but still sharp enough to cut through the stalks. The work is relentless, the sickle's weight pulling at your arm as you bend low, slicing through the barley with practiced swings. The stalks fall in neat bundles, which you gather and tie with strips of straw, your hands moving quickly despite the ache in your fingers. The sun beats down now, its heat drawing sweat that stings your eyes and soaks your tunic. The air is alive with the rustle of stalks and the low murmur of voices. As your neighbors work alongside you, their sickles flashing in the sunlight, dust rises from the field, coating your throat and leaving a gritty taste on your tongue. You pause only to drink from a leather flask, the water warm and slightly brackish, drawn from the village well. The Lord's bailiff appears, his shadow falling across the field as he walks the rows, his eyes sharp and unyielding. He carries a staff, a symbol of his authority, and his voice is curt as he urges the workers to move faster. You keep your head down, focusing on the rhythm of the sickle, the swish of the blade. the soft thud of the bundles hitting the ground. The bailiff's presence is a constant reminder of your place in the feudal order, a world where your labor fuels the manor's wealth, while your own family scrapes by on what remains. The barley you harvest will be carted to the Lord's granary, perhaps to be sold in a distant market or ground into flour for his table, while your own stores dwindle with each passing season. The threat of famine is never far from your thoughts. The weather is fickle, and a single bad harvest can mean hunger for months. You remember winters when the granary was nearly empty, when you stretched pottage with extra water to make it last, when your children's faces grew pale and their voices quiet. Disease, too, is a shadow that lingers. The village has known seasons when fever spread, carried by foul water or tainted grain, leaving families to mourn in the churchyard. You've seen neighbors' lives fade, their strength sapped by illness, and the memory lingers as you work. The sickle's rhythm of small defiance against the uncertainties of life. As the afternoon wears on, the sun begins to dip, casting long shadows across the field. Your arms are heavy, your back a knot of pain, but the work is nearly done. The bundles of barley are stacked, ready for the Lord's carts, and the bailiff nods, satisfied. Before turning back to the manor, you and your neighbors linger for a moment, exchanging quiet words about the day's labor or the hope of a mild evening. The field, now shorn, looks stark under the fading light, its soil exposed and waiting for the next planting. You sling the sickle over your shoulder, its blade wrapped in a scrap of cloth, and begin the walk back to your own small plot, where a few hours remain to tend your own crops before the day ends. This is the rhythm of your life as a peasant endless labor, shaped by the needs of the land and the demands of the manor. The fields, the hearth, the Lord's shadow, they define your every moment, a cycle as unchanging as the seasons. Yet, in their predictability, there is a strange comfort, a sense that each day's toil is a thread in the tapestry of your existence. As we leave the domain behind, we'll return to the village in the next part, where the evening brings a fleeting moment of rest and the quiet bonds of family before the cycle begins anew. Close your eyes, if you wish, and imagine yourself waking in the dim, grey light of pre-dawn, the air cool and heavy with the scent of damp earth and lingering wood smoke. You are a peasant in a small village in 13th century France, perhaps nestled in the rolling fields of Normandy or along the fertile banks of the Loire Valley. Your home is a low, humble hut, its walls crafted from wattle and dauber lattice of woven sticks plastered with a mixture of mud and straw. The roof, thatched with brittle straw, sags slightly, and when the rains come, it leaks in steady drips, pooling on the packed dirt floor below. Inside, the single room you share with your family is thick with the smoky haze of a central hearth, its embers glowing faintly, casting long, wavering shadows across the rough walls. The fire is your only source of warmth, but it sputters weakly, barely holding back the chill that seeps into your bones. Your bed is a simple pallet of straw, spread across the floor and covered with a coarse wool blanket, its fibers rough and prickly against your skin. As you stir, the straw rustles beneath you, a familiar sound that mingles with the soft breathing of your spouse and children, curled up on their own pallets nearby. The air inside the hut is heavy, carrying the faint tang of unwashed bodies, damp wool, and the earthy scent of the dirt floor. You rise slowly, your body stiff from yesterday's labor, your joints aching from the cold that creeps through the thin walls. The rhythm of your life is unchanging, a cycle of toil and survival that begins anew each morning, pulling you from the fleeting comfort of sleep into the demands of the day. You reach for your clothes, hung on a wooden peg near the hearth to keep them dry. They are simple, woven from rough wool spun by your family during long winter evenings by the fire. Dim light. The tunic, loose and reaching to your knees, is patched in places, its once dyed brown faded to a dull grey from years of wear. The hose, tied with cord at the waist, are equally worn, their seams caked with dirt and sweat that no amount of scrubbing can fully remove. They itch against your skin, a constant irritation you've long since learned to ignore. Your feet slip into wooden clogs, their soles encrusted with dried mud from yesterday's work in the fields. The clogs are heavy, they would worn smooth from countless steps, but they offer some protection against the damp, uneven ground outside. You step through the low doorway, ducking under the sagging lintel. and emerge into the pre-dawn stillness of the village. The air outside is crisp, carrying the faint scent of manure from the livestock pens and the fresh, dewy smell of grass. The village is small, a cluster of perhaps a dozen huts like yours, their thatched roofs blending into the misty landscape. A narrow path, rutted from cartwheels and footsteps, winds between the homes, leading toward the fields that surround the village. In the distance, the silhouette of the manor house looms, its stone walls and high roof a stark reminder of the Lord who governs your life. Beyond it, the church's squat tower rises, its bell silent for now but ready to mark the hours of prayer and labor. The village is quiet, save for the soft crow of a rooster from a neighbor's pen and the low, mournful lowing of a cow waiting to be milked. A faint mist clings to the ground, curling around your ankles as you walk, your clogs sinking slightly into the soft earth. The sky above is a pale grey, streaked with the first hints of dawn, promising a day of labor under an unforgiving sun, or perhaps the cold drizzle that so often blankets this land. You carry a wooden ard over your shoulder, its weight familiar but no less burdensome. The ard is a simple tool, little more than a sharpened stick reinforced with a strip of iron at its tip, designed to break the soil but not turn it as a modern plow might. It's heavy, its rough-hewn handle worn smooth by your calloused hands, and it jostles against your shoulder with every step. You follow the path toward the fields, passing the small plots where your neighbors grow their own meager crops. The fields are divided into long, narrow strips, each marked by low stone walls or hedges of thorny brambles. These strips are part of the open field system, a patchwork of land shared by the village, where each family tends their own plot but works together under the Lord's watchful eye. Your strip is small, barely enough to feed your family after the Lord's tithes and the church's share are taken. But today, your first task is not your own land, it's the Lord's domain, the vast fields reserved for his profit, where you and your fellow serfs owe several days of labor each week. As you reach the domain, the horizon stretches out before you, a sea of green shoots, barley, rye, and oats swaying gently in the early breeze. The soil here is heavy, a mix of clay and loam that clings to your clogs and the ard's tip, making each step a small battle. You set the ard down and begin to plow, gripping the handles tightly as you drive the point into the earth. The work is grueling, the ard catching on stones and roots buried beneath the surface, jarring your arms and sending shocks through your shoulders. You lean into the task, your body bent forward, your breath coming in steady puffs that mist in the cool air. The soil resists, its weight pulling against you, but you press on, carving shallow furrows that will hold the seeds for the Lord's harvest. Hours pass, the sky lightening to a pale blue as the sun creeps above the horizon. The warmth of its rays touches your back, but it offers little comfort. Your tunic is damp with sweat, clinging to your skin, and your hands ache from gripping the ard's handles. The field seems endless, its furrows stretching far into the distance, a testament to the unyielding labor that defines your existence. You pause only briefly, wiping your brow with a rough sleeve, leaving a smear of dirt across your face. The air hums with the faint buzz of insects, and a lark's song drifts from a nearby hedge, a fleeting moment of beauty in a day of toil. As a serf, your life is bound to the manor, a delicate balance between servitude and survival. You are not a slave, but neither are you free. Your obligations to the Lord are many labor on his fields, taxes in grain or livestock, and fees for using his mill, oven, or winnow press. Failure to meet these demands could mean a finer public shaming in the village square, or worse, beating ordered by the bailiff, a stern man who oversees the manor's work with a sharp eye and a sharper tongue. The bailiff's visits are frequent, his ledger always open, noting who has worked and who has fallen short. You feel his shadow even now, though he's not yet appeared, a reminder that your time, your labor, and even your small joys belong to the manor. The threat of hunger is a constant companion. The harvest is uncertain, subject to the whims of weather and pests. A single season of heavy rain, like the one 2 summers ago, can rot the crops in the fields, leaving your family with barely enough to survive the winter. You remember those months, the way your children's faces grew thin, their eyes hollow with want. You shared what little you had with neighbors as they did with you, but the memory lingers, a quiet fear that shapes every swing of the ard. Disease, too, is never far away. The village has seen outbreaks of fever, carried by fouled water or spoiled grain, that swept through families, leaving empty pallets and silent hearths. You've buried kin in the churchyard, their graves marked with simple wooden crosses, and the thought of it weighs on you as you plough. Your community is small but tightly knit, bound by shared labor and shared hardship. You know every face in the village, every voice that calls across the fields. You help your neighbors mend their roofs or tend their sick animals, knowing they'll return the favor when your own fortunes falter. But life is not without its tensions. A dispute over a stray sheep or a misdrawn boundary between strips can spark arguments that simmer for weeks. The lords favor a better plot of land. A reprieve from taxes is a prize that breeds quiet rivalries, though none dare speak them aloud. The church, too, holds sway over your life. The village priest, a gaunt figure in a worn cassock, preaches of salvation and sin, but his demands for tithes a tenth of your harvest are as unrelenting as the Lord's. As the morning wears on, the sun climbs higher, its light filtering through a thin veil of clouds. Your hands are rough, the skin cracked and calloused from years of gripping tools, and your back aches with a dull, persistent pain. The furrows you've carved are uneven, but they'll do. The Lord's bailiff cares more for quantity than perfection. You glance at the sky, noting the sun's position, and realize it's nearly time for a brief rest. You'll return to the village soon, to eat a simple meal by the hearth, but for now you pause, leaning on the yard, your breath steadying as you survey the field. This is the rhythm of your life, endless, unyielding, yet strangely comforting in its predictability. As the soft glow of the noblewoman's solar fades, the air still carrying the faint scent of lavender and the dying embers of the hearth, we step back from the intricate world of 13th century France, where lives were woven together by the threads of toil, ambition, mystery, and duty. The chateau's stone walls, the cathedral's soaring arches, the battlefield's distant echoes, and the peasants' muddy fields, they all dissolve into the quiet of this moment, leaving only the gentle rhythm of history to linger in your mind. Settle deeper into your comfortable space, dear listener, and let the weight of these stories ease you toward rest. Close your eyes, if you wish, and let us reflect on the tapestry we've woven tonight, a journey through a world both distant and strangely familiar. We began in the humble village, where the peasant's life unfolded in a relentless cycle of labor. The damp earth beneath their clogs, the smoky haze of their straw-roofed hut, the constant shadow of hunger and obligation, these were the rhythms that shaped their days. From there, we followed Simon de Montfort, a knight whose fiery ambition carried him from the crusade-scarred hills of Languedoc to the rebellious fields of England, only to meet a tragic end. His story, marked by the clash of swords and the weight of faith, stood in stark contrast to the peasant's quiet struggle. Yet both were bound by the unyielding demands of their time. Then, we paused in the sacred silence of Chartres Cathedral, where whispers of a hidden treasure gold, relics, or sacred texts invited us to ponder the mysteries locked within its stones. Finally, we entered the opulent yet constrained world of a noblewoman. Her silk gowns and courtly intrigues a delicate dance of power and expectation, a life as bound by duty as the peasant's was by the land. These stories, though separated by status and circumstance, are threads in the same tapestry, each revealing a facet of medieval France. The peasant's toil, the knight's ambition, the cathedral's enigma, and the noblewoman's elegance, they speak to a world where every life was shaped by the rhythms of faith, labor, and survival. The air of that time, thick with the scent of wood smoke, incense, or polished armor, was a constant reminder of the forces that bound them, Lord, church, and land. Yet, within these constraints, there were moments of resilience, of quiet hope, of beauty crafted in stone or silk. These lives, so different from our own, offer a glimpse into the human spirit, enduring through hardship and aspiration. Now, as you rest in the comfort of the present, imagine the contrast between the distant world and the quiet of your own. The peasant's straw pallet is far from your soft bed. The noblewoman's heavy headdress a world away from the ease of modern life. The battles and mysteries of the 13th century have faded, their echoes preserved only in the stories we tell. Let these tales settle in your mind, not as a call to action, but as a gentle lullaby, their rhythms soothing you towards sleep. The fields, the cathedrals, the chateau, they are part of a past that shaped our world. Yet they ask nothing of you now but to rest, to drift, to let the weight of the day slip away. As the final notes of this journey fade, picture the Loire Valley under a starlit sky, its rivers glinting in the moonlight, its villages and castles silent in the night. The stories of medieval France, gritty, ambitious, mysterious, and elegant, merge into the quiet darkness, a tapestry complete. Breathe deeply, dear listener, and let the calm of this moment carry you into sleep, where the past becomes a gentle dream and the present offers only peace.